Okay, so the goal of this video is to give you an idea of how to work with files and folders, some of the things that you know, some of the things that you might not know. So we'll go through and we'll talk about all of those things. When you first come to the computer and you want to go and you want to open up something like Microsoft Word, right? A couple different ways you can do that. If you have an icon someplace on your desktop or someplace in your network folder, you can double click on it if it has that W next to it, right, saying that it's opening up a Microsoft Word file. And sometimes that'll work. One of the tricks one of the things that people don't realize when you sit at the computer is that every time you sit at a new computer, you create a profile. So when you log onto the computer, it's all of a sudden going to make Duff M for me. And so sitting here right at my teacher desk, there's a profile called Duff M. So it knows I've opened up Word before. It's seen me do it. It'll remind me down here. It'll show that I've opened it before. But if I go sit at another computer, that specific computer is going to create a whole nother user profile, and it's not going to remember all of those settings. So if you have not opened Word before on the computer that you're sitting at, it's not going to know to open it. It might not open by just double clicking on it. So what you might have to do, or any file, like this is a PDF, it's going to open up Acrobat. This is a Revit file, it's going to open up Revit. But what you might need to do is go to the Start program, or the Start button, and go and open it. Now, I've used it before, so it's sitting right there. But if not, you can hit Search and type in WRID, or the name of the program you're looking for. Or you can go to Programs, and you can go to Microsoft Office. Microsoft Office, where are you? There you are, 2013, and then down here at the bottom, and you'll see Word 2003. So that's a couple different ways for you can open it. This might happen with AutoCAD. If you double click on an icon and it doesn't open or doesn't open up in the correct program, this is a couple of different ways you can fix it. So we're going to open up a blank document, and I'm just going to type some text in it, and we're going to talk about how to save it. So if I go to File and I go to Save As, the first thing I can do is I could just save it to the desktop, which you don't really want to do very often because the people come through at night. They have programs that run that delete erroneous programs. We talked about it in the last video, how these are not your personal computers. And so they own the computers. They do what they want with them. Every now and again, they'll clear the space so that they run better. So you really want to try not to regularly save things that you care about to your desktop. But you could, especially temporarily. What I would suggest doing is going to Browse, and now you have to go find out where you want to save it. If you go to this PC, you should see your network folder down here. I click on Duff M, that'll take you to my network folder. I can save it there. Now I'm going to save this to the desktop, which I just advise you kind of not to do, but I'm going to do that so that you can see what's going on. So I'm going to save it to the desktop, and I'm going to name my file test2, since there's already a test out there, and click Save. So now I'll come over here, and I'll notice I have now a file that has been added to my list. I have test from something that I worked on earlier. Test2, test, but now I have it as a different file. If I open test2 back up and I go to File, Save As, when I saved it, I could choose what type of file I wanted to save it as. And this is important. So it says it's a Word document. I could have changed it to a PDF. So now I'm going to save test2 as a PDF, hit Save. I'll close out of this. And you'll see there's test2. But test2 doesn't want to open up with a Word file. It wants to open up with an Acrobat file. Every time you save a file, in fact, it used to be the old way. If I go to Properties, you'll be able to see the name that I named it was test2. In the old days, it used to say test2.pdf if I wanted it to be an Acrobat file. That .pdf is the file extension. It's what tells the computer what program should use to open it, right? So this is going to open up as a PDF if I do that, right? You can see without putting, so nowadays you don't have to do that. You don't have to type the .pdf. It's just automatically put on and it doesn't show it to you. But you can see where it says type of file, Adobe Acrobat document, and it says .pdf. So in the old days it would say test2.pdf. Now it just says test2, but the .pdf still exists. I can change what program opens it. There are some programs that can open up file types that aren't their main file type. So like, for example, if I open up a Word document, well, I shouldn't say it. Word's kind of a bad example, but some of the drafting programs, I can open up programs from different types with different file extensions. So this is a .pdf. Let's just try to open it up with Word. So I go here and I see I have these options. Mine isn't there if I want to try to open it up with Word. I could go to More Options. I should be able to find Word on here someplace. There it is, Word. We'll say OK. Now you see it changed the icon to a Word icon. But when I double click on it, it says Word will not. So it's actually going to take that PDF and convert it, which I guess is nice. Say OK. No idea how long that's going to take or if it's going to work well or if I just locked up my computer trying to do this. Alright, so we are going to try to find a way to get rid of this. So whatever, while this is doing whatever it's doing, okay, so there you go. It took test2 and it converted it to a Word document, which some programs can do, some can't. So if we go back, you see it still says PDF. If I change it back to an Acrobat file, say apply, say OK, it'll open. If I do the opposite on the Word file, change, go to Acrobat, it's not going to allow me to do that. So if I go apply, now if I try to open up test2, it's going to say can't open up that file because it's a .doc. .doc is the file extension that goes along with a Word file. Rather than changing the properties of it, something else I could do is I could go to right-click, I could go to properties. Don't check that. Right-click and go to open with. And if I go to open with, it'll bring me right to there, and I can choose to open it up with a different program. But I am going to go back to properties, and I'm going to say that .docx, because it changed all my .docx's. So now it'll know to open it up with that file type. Again, just some information that you might not have known. Going back into properties, some other stuff that's here, you can find a lot of valuable information. One is where it's located. So it says it's on the C drive. We talked about the C drive last video about how that's your hard drive, and how that hard drive is the spinning disk inside your computer. So that's where it's saved. It's saved in a folder called users, right? So every time that someone logs onto the computer, inside of users, it creates a new profile. So it saved it into the users account under my profile, DuffM, and then it saved it to the desktop. If it saved it to my documents, it would say my documents, or wherever else it might be. If I get a chance later, I'll open up a different file so you can see a different location. The size of it is here. It's 11 kilobytes. It's really small. Good little piece of advice for when you're working on your computers at home. If you have a hard drive that's full and you're trying to figure out what to delete that's going to make a difference or not, kilobytes are really small. Gigabytes are what you're looking for if you're trying to remove significant amounts of space so that you can save new things onto your hard drive. Kilobytes, I could release 100 of these and you wouldn't even notice. 1,000 of them, you probably still wouldn't notice. But once you get into the gigabytes, you can really start to tell quickly. So videos, mostly, music sometimes, those are going to be in the gigabytes, and you could delete those to make a significant difference. Some other stuff, when it was created, when it was last made, you can kind of peek at all this as you go, but just some different ideas about all of that. Okay, so let's see. Have we done everything? The other thing we haven't talked about is renaming it, which you will have to do a lot. So, like, for example, if I right-click on this, and let's just say this was a file I had to hand in. So let's name it last name. So my last name is Duff. Duff dot, and I'm going to call it, I don't know, I had something open here. Let's see. I'll drop it into this spot. So I had a folder called, what was it called? 6.1 Absolute. So we're going to name it Duff.absolute. Rename Duff.absolut. So absolute. So if I was handing this in here, which I'm not, it's not even this type of file type, I would take it and I would drag it into here. Now usually this would be in my network folder. So let's go to your network folder. Let's do that. Let's go start. Let's go to network places. We'll go to hand in. No, sorry. This is mine, so you wouldn't even go here. But this is how I get to your network folders. So student folders, I don't know, we'll go to this class. I'll open up Butachi's folder. I'll take the thing that I made in it last class and I'll delete it. And so let's say I made something and I saved it to my desktop. Where you should start saving all of your things. Okay, where you should start saving all of your things is in your network folder. So what I would suggest doing is right-clicking, going to New, going to Folder, make an IED folder, and inside of that IED folder, right-click, go to New, go to Folder, name a folder Q1, name another folder Q2, Q3, and the last one Q4, all for the quarters. All right, we're working on this in quarter one, so drag it here into quarter one. I could drag it with the file open. I can also drag it like on top of the icon, and it will drop in there. When you drag and drop, you copy and paste, which is nice because it does save a version here. But you can really bog down your computer by having a lot of saved information on the computer itself. So I would suggest after you're sure you have it into your network folder, delete it out of here. Other thing you can do is if I hit Control-Z is undo. I can come back here, take it out. I can cut and paste it rather than copy. So instead of dragging and dropping, I am going to click on it. I'm going to hit Control-X. Control-X is cut, and you can see that it's cut because it kind of grays the object out. Click in here, hit Control-V, and it will move it from there to there, and it won't leave that old copy. Other stuff. So the other thing too is we didn't necessarily do it, but we could have also copy and pasted it. Control C is copy, and Control V is another way to copy and paste. So I'll just leave it in there, delete this out of here, so now I have this in here. So now I want to get it from my network folder into their folder, which we have talked about this in another video, but just as a quick refresher, if I take this and I drag and drop it in here, this is how I should move files from my network folder into the hand-in folders, because I leave the most up-to-date copy in my folder, and then I put the new one into your folder, which is a good situation. So now I know if something happens to this one, if somebody accidentally deletes it, or if I delete it, or something gets changed to it that you didn't want changed, you have the most up-to-date version here in your network folder. So that is a good way. Another good idea, some selection tool stuff. I have all these files, right? The reason that I have you name your folders the way that I name them is that I want you to be able to go into your network folder, and I want to be able to see them all listed alphabetically. So some stuff you could do. If I go to View, I can change the look of all of the icons. Again, this might be something more for your personal computer or into your network folder, but maybe you want to change the look. So if I go to View, I go to Large Icons, I can make them bigger. I can go to View, and I can go to List, which will put them all in a row, which is how all of my folders are set up so that I can easily grade yours, see who did and didn't do their work, all listed alphabetically. Go to Details. Another thing, you can tell how big a file is. We were talking about looking for larger files. You can see all of these are kilobytes. They're not that big. But if some of them said 32 GBs, that's big. You wouldn't want to do that. So, or you would want to delete that one if that was the case. So then View, Large, Details. I think we're good with all that. I'm going to put it back to medium icons. Another thing you do is sort. You can sort by name or date modified. So if I choose date modified, right, it'll rearrange them in the different order. If I go to sort by and go to name, it'll put them back the way they were. Another helpful thing to talk about is being able to draw, like how to select different things. One of the things I could do is I can draw a box around all of my icons, and I can select a whole bunch of them at once. So I have all these files now, and if I wanted to, I could delete them or whatever I want to do them, but I'm going to leave them as is. I can also hit click on one file and then hit Shift, and it'll select all of them in a row. If I hit Shift again, but down here, see how it keeps them all sequentially? Right there, I can undo a bunch. And if you want to select individual files, I can select on one file and then hold down the Control key, and it will select individually, that kind of thing. So all of that is good stuff to know how to do too. So let me just take a look here, make sure we got everything we did. Quarter one, working with files. The other thing is, after I delete a file, we didn't really talk about this, but it ends up in the recycling bin. So when you delete it from the computer, it never really goes away. Like if I'm in the test and I hit delete, it goes away, but it stores it temporarily here in the recycling bin. If I want it to go away forever, I can either go right here and right-click Empty Recycle Bin. It'll permanently get rid of those 6 objects. They're gone forever. Now, this works for things that are on the computer. Things that are on the network, once they're gone, they're gone. Half the time, you can't even hit undo to get rid of them. If you've ever lost a major chunk of work, you should come talk to me about it. But generally, once something is deleted from the network, that's a bad sign. So you want to be super careful not to let that happen. So let's take your file, take a random file. We'll put test2 in here. And we'll go and we'll click on it and I'll hit delete. Oops, sorry, I'll hit delete. It says, do you want to delete it permanently? Say yes. Even if I hit Control Z, it doesn't come back. Right? It's kind of gone forever. So that's that. So when you're ready, when you're done with all of this, what I want you to do is I want you to go back to your network folder. Let's see, where were we? I want you to go back to your network folder. I want you to open up IED. I want to see all 4 of your quarter 1 through 4s. Then I want you to go back and I want you to go to File Explorer, open up a new one. So go to File Explorer, shrink us down here like we always do. Come on. And then I want you to drag it up to something small. Put it in the bottom right-hand corner. Make a paint document, save it as a .png, and then hand it into the folder. I don't know if I have it open this minute, but I think it's 06 files and folder or something like that. I might have it open. Let's see. Yep, there it is. So right now, the name may change at some point, but right now it's last name .files and folders. So that's there. So if you have any other questions, obviously come up and ask, but hopefully you find some of this helpful. Good luck.